Welcome to the Lifetime Assembly channel. My name is John, and today I'm going to help you assemble your portable Mammoth Series basketball system with a 50-inch tempered glass backboard. Before we get started, make sure the model number of your system is listed in the description below. This video will follow the steps outlined in the assembly manual that comes with the basketball system. If you've already begun and need help on a specific step, check the description below for a timestamp associated with each step. Now let's take a look at what comes inside the box. There are steps within this assembly that require more than one person, so be sure to have at least one other adult available to help. Before we get into the assembly process, let's take a look at the tools you'll need to complete the job. You'll need 2 3/8 wrenches, 2 1/2-inch wrenches, 2 9/16 wrenches, 2 3/4-inch wrenches, a 1/2-inch socket, a 3/8 socket, a Phillips head screwdriver, a rubber mallet, a pencil, a drill. You may just use an impact driver. If you decide to use one as well, be sure not to over torque or over tighten the hardware. A tape measure, 2 3/16 Allen keys, which are included, and a block. To make this easier, we're going to use a socket set and a socket adapter. Depending on how you decide to fill the base of your system, you'll need a hose connected to a water source or a funnel and 400 pounds of sand. This video is meant to be used as a companion to the assembly manual and not a direct replacement. So for the best results, make sure to have the assembly manual on hand during the build. It's crucial that you refer to the assembly manual to review the safety instructions for this build to prevent serious injury or property damage. All right, let's get started. Take the middle and bottom poles, which are the only 2 poles with tapered ends, and then from the top, take a tape measure and measure 4.5 and 5 inches and put a mark at both of them. Take the top pole, which is the only pole without a taper, and add the pole bracket over these holes on the same side as the sticker, making sure it's oriented like this. Secure the pole bracket to the pole with the hardware. These nuts are center locking nuts, so they may be difficult to tighten. Take your middle pole, which is the pole with the warning label, and slide it into the bottom of the top pole, making sure that the stickers that say this side up are on the same side. Next, you're going to seat the poles together by striking the bottom end of the middle pole on a piece of scrap wood or cardboard 5 or 6 times. You're going to need to use some force, so be sure not to hit your toes. In doing this, you want to make sure that the top pole covers that 4.5-inch line that we made earlier, but doesn't go past the 5-inch line. It's crucial that you seat the poles properly, otherwise they could become separated during use, causing serious injury or property damage. If you are having a hard time getting them seated properly, don't continue and call customer service. Slide the bottom pole into the bottom of the middle pole. The bottom pole is the pole with the 2 holes that are close together on one end. Make sure that the stickers that say this side up are on the same side. Seat the poles together using the same method as before, and remember to cover the 4.5-inch mark, but don't go past the 5-inch mark. If you've completed the previous steps and you realize you've made a mistake and can't get your poles to separate, click on this link here to see a video on how to separate your poles. Secure the poles together by locating these holes at the bottom of the top pole and the bottom of the middle pole, and use the self-tapping screws. They are designed to go through the metal underneath. Take the long axle and add a wheel, the base frame tube oriented like this, and then another wheel. Slide the long axle into the bottom hole on the bottom pole with the pole oriented like this with the bracket facing up. Add another wheel, base frame tube, and then a wheel. Place the outer support tube on the end of the long axle, making sure it's oriented like this. Line up the holes on this end with the holes in the base frame tube and secure with the hardware. Do the same for the opposite side. Tighten the hardware, but be careful not to over-tighten because you don't want the cap nuts to break. Add the cross brace to the base frame tubes, making sure the brackets on the ends are oriented like this. Lay the base over the base frame, making sure the wheels go into these slots. Insert the short axle into the hole just above where the long axle is, making sure to leave a little hanging out on both sides. Rotate the pole assembly up so that the small axle rests into these notches on the base, and then lay it on its side. Don't stand the assembly up until you've got proper weight in the base. Place the flat end of the pole brace over this hole on the base and make sure that the angled end lays flat against the pole. Secure the cross brace to the base, making sure to add your washer, chain, and securing to the bracket on the cross brace underneath. Only finger tighten this hardware for now. Flip the assembly over and repeat the previous steps on the opposite side. Secure the opposite end of the pole braces to the pole. Now that the pull braces are attached to the pole, go back and tighten the hardware from earlier, making sure to keep the chain on the outside. Place your backboard face up and then add the rim impact spacer over these holes. Add the rim housing over the spacer, making sure they're oriented like this. Secure the housing and the spacer through the bottom set of holes, but only finger tighten for now. Add the hardware to the top set of holes, making sure to add your rim adapter plate on the back side. Add the eye bolt into this notch on the rim, and then add your rim pin going through this hole and the eye bolt. Place the rim in between the housing, making sure the eye bolt is oriented like this. Add the hardware, making sure the spacer goes between the housing and the rim on both sides of the rim. Only finger tighten this hardware for now. Now go and tighten the rim housing hardware from the previous steps. Add the spring clevis going over the eye bolt, making sure to add the hardware and only finger tighten for now. Add your compression spring to the eye bolt. Then the washer, and then the two nuts. These nuts adjust the tension of the rim, so tighten but don't over tighten. Now you can tighten the hardware holding the rim and clevis to the housing. Attach the rim plate to the rim oriented like this. Take a coupler pin and add the hardware to one side. With the lower extension arms oriented like this, slide the extension arms onto the pole and line up these holes with these holes. Add the small spacer onto the coupler pin, then add your large spacer in between the lower extension arms and the pole. Take another coupler pin and add the hardware to one end. Add the upper extension arms oriented like this to the top set of holes and add the spacers the same way you added them on the lower extension arms. Now we're going to attach the lower extension arms to the back of the backboard. This step may be difficult, so take your time and make sure you have some help. Lay the rim on some cardboard so it doesn't get scratched, and line up the holes at the bottom of the extension arm with the holes in the backboard. Add the bolts to the holes, making sure to add the spacers to these locations, and then connect to the coupler in the middle. Attach the upper extension arms to the upper holes on the back of the backboard, making sure to add your spacers in these locations. Insert the plugs on both sides of the empty holes on the back of the backboard. Then add the pull cap to the top of the pole. Your gas spring comes with a cover. If it falls off, it goes back on like this. Line up the hole of the gas spring with the hole in the bracket and add your hardware. Be careful not to over tighten because you want the gas spring to rotate freely. Take your coupler pin and add the hardware to one end. With your handle oriented like this, line up the holes at the end of the handle with the holes in the pole and add the spacers in between the handle and the pole. Add the hardware to one side of the coupler pins. Add the end of the lifter arm that has two holes in between these set of holes and secure it through the bottom hole. Rotate the actuator up and then add the lock so that it stays in position. Take the coupler pin and insert the hardware into one end. Insert your coupler pin into the second set of holes on the lifter arm and the gas spring, making sure to add your spacers in between. Add the actuator clip to the handle bracket, making sure that the notch is up and towards the gas spring. Place the actuator in between the handle bracket and then add the pin and slide the clip all the way down. Add the hardware to one end of the coupler pin. Now you're going to attach the other end of the lifter arms to the lower extension arms. If you're having a hard time getting the holes to line up, you may need to remove the lock off of the gas spring, compress the gas spring, and then reattach the lock. Now that the lifter arms are higher, you can adjust the backboard so that the holes line up. The next few steps we'll go over how to fill the base of your system, so refer to your manual in section 6 or click on this link here to see a video on how to do that. We've already filled the base of this system, so we're going to move on to the next step. Now you can add the net to the rim. With the help of another person, lift the rim up so that the rim measures 10 feet from the plane surface. Once your rim measures 10 feet from the plane surface, take the height adjustment sticker and place it just below the cover on the gas spring. Because this system is heavier than others, you need to anchor it to the ground. But since we're inside, we're not going to be able to do that, but it's important that you do. So review the next few steps in the manual to see how to do that. Thank you for watching this video on how to assemble your Lifetime portable Mammoth Series basketball system with a 50-inch tempered glass backboard. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up. For more content like this, subscribe to our channel. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to our customer service team and check out our other awesome products at lifetime.com.